Dr. Madison Hayes stared at her monitor in NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Center, her coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. The anomaly had first appeared 16 hours ago, a distortion in the Kuiper belt that defied every known astronomical model. Now, as she watched the real-time feed, her hands began to tremble. "Dr. Warner," she called out, her voice steadier than she felt. "I need you to verify something." Her supervisor crossed the dimly lit control room, the bags under his eyes testament to their extended shift. "What have you got, Hayes? Watch this section." She pointed to a patch of seemingly empty space. "Every 12 minutes, there's a gravitational lensing effect, but there's nothing there that could cause it." Warner leaned closer, adjusting his glasses. As they watched, light from distant stars bent around something massive yet invisible. His breath caught. "How many?" "I've counted 47 distinct signatures. Whatever they are, they're big. Dreadnought big, if we're thinking in naval terms." Madison pulled up a trajectory analysis. "And they're not just passing through. They're decelerating." The room's atmosphere shifted as other analysts noticed their intense focus. Conversations died mid-sentence. The soft hum of computers seemed to grow louder in the silence. "Get me General Roberts," Warner said to no one in particular. Multiple people reached for phones. Before any call could connect, every screen in the facility flickered. A symbol appeared, a spiral of interconnected geometric shapes that seemed to move despite being static. Below it, text appeared in perfect English. "To the inhabitants of Sol 3, your quarantine period has expired." Madison felt the blood drain from her face. Quarantine period. The message continued. "The hegemony of allied species has determined your world suitable for resource extraction. You have maintained your technological development within acceptable parameters, but have failed to achieve the requisite advancement benchmarks for species preservation status." General Roberts burst into the room, already in full crisis mode. "Tell me this is a hack." "Sir," Madison said, her analyst's mind racing ahead. "This signal is being broadcast from multiple points near Saturn. Whatever they're using, it's overwhelming our entire communications infrastructure." As if responding to her observation, the message expanded. "To demonstrate the futility of resistance, observe." Every feed showing Mars flared white. When the glare faded, the red planet's polar ice caps were gone, transformed into a thin wisp of vapor trailing into space. "Your species has 30 solar cycles to evacuate. Any remaining biological presence after this deadline will be eradicated during standard purification procedures. This notice serves as our single communication. Choose wisely." The screens returned to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. Madison's fingers flew across her keyboard, pulling up data from every sensor array Earth had. "Sir," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "the energy required to vaporize Mars ice caps that quickly, we couldn't match that with every nuclear weapon on Earth." Robert's face was ashen. "Recommendations. They're letting us see them now," Madison said, pointing to new readings. Massive ships, each larger than Earth's largest cities, shimmered into visibility near Saturn. "This isn't just first contact. This is an eviction notice backed by force we can't comprehend." Warner slumped into a chair. "God help us." But Madison was already deep in analysis mode, her mind refusing to accept helplessness. Something about the message nagged at her. "Sir, they called us Sol 3, but then demonstrated perfect English. They knew exactly how to hack our systems, and that bit about acceptable parameters for our development." She pulled up historical astronomical data. "They've been watching us, studying us, maybe for longer than we've had civilization. But why wait? Why now?" Robert straightened his uniform. "Those are interesting questions, Dr. Hayes, but right now I need to brief the President on the fact that we have 30 days before an alien armada decides to depopulate Earth." As the room erupted into frantic activity, Madison kept staring at her readings. Something else was happening. subtle changes in Earth's magnetic field that didn't match any known patterns. She flagged the data for later analysis, not knowing she'd just noticed the first hint of humanity's only hope for survival. The hegemony had made one critical mistake. They thought Earth was just another planet to be conquered. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 3 days after the hegemony's ultimatum, Dr. Madison Hayes hadn't left NASA's facility. She sat surrounded by empty energy drink cans, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, staring at data streams that shouldn't exist. "You need to sleep," Dr. Warner said, placing a fresh coffee beside her workstation. "The magnetic field readings don't make sense," she muttered, ignoring the coffee. "Look at this pattern. It started right after their message." She pointed to an oscillating wave that pulsed through Earth's electromagnetic field. "It's like the planet is having a conversation." Warner sighed. "Hayes, we're all stressed. The president's about to announce the evacuation protocols. Maybe you should." "No." She stood up suddenly, scattering papers. "This is important. The pattern. It matches human brain waves. Alpha waves, specifically, but on a planetary scale." Before Warner could respond, Madison pulled up another screen. "And look at this. During major historical events, wars, celebrations, mass meditations, there are similar patterns. We just never noticed because we weren't looking for them. The Earth, it's been responding to us." "That's impossible," Warner started, but his voice trailed off as Madison overlaid the patterns. The similarity was undeniable. "I need access to the new quantum sensors," she said, "the ones designed for deep space signals. Those are reserved for monitoring the hegemony fleet. Please." Her eyes were bright with desperate intensity. "Something's happening to our planet, and I think it might be our only chance." Warner studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "You have 2 hours. Make them count." Madison worked furiously, recalibrating the sensors to focus inward instead of outward. As data poured in, her hands began to shake. "Oh my God," she whispered. The Earth's core wasn't just molten metal. It was a vast neural network, pulsing with patterns that mimicked human consciousness. Every meditation, every prayer, every moment of collective human emotion had been feeding into it for millennia. She was still processing this when the first earthquake hit. Alarms blared as the facility shook. "Status report," Warner shouted over the chaos. "Magnitude 6.2, someone called out. "But it's impossible. It's happening everywhere." Simultaneous seismic activity across all tectonic plates. Madison's screens filled with new data. The neural patterns were intensifying, growing more complex. "It's not an earthquake," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "It's an awakening." The shaking subsided, but the readings continued to spike. She quickly sent her findings to her secure server, then turned to Warner. "I need to make some calls. There's someone at MIT who studies quantum consciousness." The facility's lights flickered, and a new alarm sounded. "Hegemony ships are moving." An analyst shouted. 3 vessels just entered lunar orbit. "Hayes," Warner said urgently, "whatever you found could change everything," she finished. "But I need help. The patterns, they're like synapses firing in a brain that's been dormant. Human consciousness has been gradually building these connections for thousands of years. We're not just living on Earth. We're part of its nervous system." Warner stared at her data, his scientific skepticism warring with the evidence before him. "Even if you're right, what does it mean?" Madison's fingers flew across her keyboard, correlating historical data. Ancient civilizations talked about Earth as a living being. What if they weren't being metaphorical? What if we're only now advanced enough to detect what they somehow knew? She pulled up an image of the hegemony spiral symbol. "They called this a quarantine. Said we developed within acceptable parameters. What if that development wasn't random? What if we've been cultivated?" Another tremor shook the building, gentler this time, almost like a pulse. "Get your team," Warner said finally. Whatever resources you need. But Hayes, he gripped her shoulder. Work fast. Because if you're wrong, we have 27 days until they start purifying our planet. Madison nodded, already reaching for her phone. As she dialed, her screen showed the neural patterns growing stronger, more organized. The Earth was stirring, responding to humanity's desperate fear of extinction. The question was, could they wake it fully before the hegemony's deadline? And if they did, what exactly would they be waking? The MIT Quantum Lab hummed with energy as Dr. James Okonjo paced in front of his holographic display. These patterns shouldn't exist, he muttered, running a hand over his close-cropped hair. It violates everything we know about consciousness. Madison watched the quantum readings pulse across the screen. The neural patterns from Earth's core had grown stronger in the past week, and yet here they are. The question is, why now? Perhaps, Okonjo said, stopping mid-pace, we've been asking the wrong question. Not why now, but why us? He pulled up a series of images on the secondary display. Ancient cave paintings from different continents appeared, each showing concentric circles and spiral patterns. Look familiar. Madison's breath caught. The patterns matched the fluctuations they'd been monitoring in Earth's electromagnetic field. How old are these? The oldest? About 40,000 years. Okonjo's eyes gleamed. Roughly when human consciousness as we know it emerged. When we began creating art, developing complex language, building societies. A soft chime interrupted them. Madison checked her phone. Another hegemony ship had entered lunar orbit. 21 days remained. There's something else, Okonjo said, leading her to a sealed room. Inside, a crystalline structure floated in a magnetic containment field. We found this 2 miles beneath the Sahara. It's older than human civilization. As Madison approached, the crystal pulsed with a faint blue light. The quantum readings on the nearby monitor spiked. It responds to human brainwaves, Okonjo explained, but only certain patterns. Meditation, deep focus, intense emotional states. The same patterns we're seeing in Earth's core. A receiver, Madison whispered. Or a transmitter. Both, I think. And I believe there are more, hidden at key points around the planet. The ancients built temples over them, sensing their importance without understanding why. Another tremor shook the lab. They were growing more frequent. But these weren't normal earthquakes. The seismic waves had structure, almost like language. Dr. Hayes, an assistant, burst into the room. You need to see this. They rushed to the main lab. Every screen showed the same thing. Massive energy signatures emerging from deep within the Earth. They formed geometric patterns similar to the hegemony symbol, but more complex, more organic. It's protecting us, Madison said suddenly. The Earth, it's been guiding our development, waiting until we were ready. The hegemony didn't start this awakening. They just accelerated it. Okonjo nodded slowly. The question is, ready for what? Before she could respond, the lights flickered. The quantum readings went wild. Every piece of electronic equipment in the lab began pulsing in sync with their brainwaves. My God, Okonjo breathed. It's trying to communicate. Madison felt a strange sensation, like static electricity racing across her skin. The crystal in the containment field glowed brighter, its light pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. We need to connect them, she said, the idea striking her with sudden clarity. All the ancient sites, all the crystals, they're not just receivers, they're nodes in a planetary network. And we're the activation key. How? Okonjo asked. We don't even know where they all air. Yes, we do. Madison pulled up the cave painting images again. The ancients mapped them for us, every sacred site, every place of power. They were marking the nodes, preserving the knowledge until we could understand it. A deeper tremor shook the building. Above them, through the lab's skylight, they could see the hegemony ships, dark silhouettes against the moon. If we're right, Madison said, "We have 3 weeks to awaken a planetary consciousness that's been dormant for millions of years, and we'll need everyone's help to do it." Okonjo stared at the pulsing crystal. "You know they'll try to stop us once they realize what we're doing." Madison nodded, already reaching for her phone to contact NASA. "Then we better work fast, because I have a feeling Earth has been waiting a very long time for this moment." As if in response, the crystal's glow intensified, casting blue light across their faces. Somewhere deep beneath their feet, the planet's ancient neural network continued to stir, preparing for an awakening that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The United Nations General Assembly had never been so crowded. Madison stood at the podium, acutely aware of the thousands of eyes fixed on her and the millions watching worldwide. Behind her, a massive screen displayed the Earth's intensifying neural patterns. "The evidence is undeniable," she said, her voice carrying across the hushed chamber. "Earth isn't just responding to our consciousness. It's been nurturing it, guiding our evolution for millennia. And now, with the hegemony's threat, it's ready to fully awaken." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Chinese representative stood. "And you propose we attempt to trigger this awakening through mass meditation." "Not just meditation," Dr. Okonjo interjected from his seat beside her. "A synchronized global event, focused through the ancient crystal nodes we've identified. The technology already exists. We can use the internet and broadcast networks to coordinate billions of minds." Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered. The neural pattern display went wild, showing massive energy spikes. "They're here," Madison whispered. 3 hegemony ships had appeared over New York, their massive forms casting shadows over the city. A collective gasp filled the chamber. The Japanese representative spoke next. "How can we be certain this awakening won't destroy us, if Earth is truly conscious?" A deep tremor cut him off. The neural pattern stabilized into a new configuration, one that matched perfectly with the cave paintings Okonjo had discovered. "Because it's protecting us," Madison said firmly. "Look at the data. Every major breakthrough in human history coincides with spikes in Earth's neural activity. It's been defending us from threats we never knew existed." The U.S. President stood. "Dr. Hayes, you have 12 days until their deadline. What exactly do you need?" Madison took a deep breath. "Access to every ancient sacred site identified in our research, a global broadcast network, and most importantly, cooperation from every government to coordinate their populations." "You're asking for unprecedented global unity," the Russian representative observed. "I'm asking for humanity's survival," Madison corrected. "The hegemony didn't choose Earth randomly. They knew what was sleeping here. That's why they're watching us so closely now." As if to emphasize her point, one of the hegemony ships moved lower, its massive form now visible through the assembly's windows. The Secretary General called for a vote. Minutes later, Resolution 2024-A passed unanimously. Operation Global Awakening would begin. What followed was the largest mobilization in human history. Military forces deployed to protect the crystal sites. Tech companies reprogrammed satellites for the broadcast. Religious leaders prepared their congregations. Scientists calibrated equipment. And the hegemony watched. "They're sending pods down," Okonjo reported 3 days later from their command center beneath the Pentagon. "Small ones, near our major sites." Madison studied the tactical display. Reconnaissance. They sense something's happening. She turned to General Roberts. "How much time do we need?" "Global coordination is at 60%, he replied. "We need at least 48 hours to reach optimal coverage." Another tremor shook the facility. The crystal they'd brought from MIT pulsed brighter, its energy synchronizing with the others they'd discovered. "Look at this," Okonjo called out. He pointed to new quantum readings. "The crystals are linking, creating a network stronger than anything we've seen." Madison felt it. A subtle vibration, like a distant drum beating in time with her heart. Around the world, others reported the same sensation. A lieutenant burst into the room. "Dr. Hayes, hegemony pods are approaching the Giza site. They're moving to stop us," Roberts growled. "We need to launch now." "We're not ready," Okonjo protested. "The network will have to be enough." Madison finished. She reached for the secure phone. "Mr. President, we need to initiate now. Emergency Protocol Alpha." As she spoke, the crystals pulsing intensified. On screens around the room, they watched Earth's neural patterns shift into new configurations, more complex than ever before. The awakening was beginning. The only question was, would humanity's effort be enough to fully rouse Earth from its ancient slumber before the hegemony intervened? Madison touched the nearest crystal, feeling its warmth. "Send the signal," she ordered. "It's time to wake the planet." The global broadcast began at precisely 3:00 p.m. UTC. Madison sat in the Pentagon's command center, surrounded by monitors showing billions of people gathering in homes, temples, and public spaces worldwide. The crystalline network hummed with growing power. Neural synchronization at 40% and climbing, Okonjo reported, his voice tense. The ancient sites are responding. On the tactical display, red dots marked approaching hegemony pods. They were minutes from the major crystal locations: Giza, Stonehenge, Easter Island, the Ganges Valley. All military units in defensive positions, General Roberts announced. But against their technology. "We just need to buy time," Madison said, her hands gripping her console. "The resonance is building faster than we expected." The main screen showed the planet's neural activity surging. Every human mind focusing on the same goal created waves of consciousness that the crystal network amplified and channeled deep into Earth's core. The pattern matched the ancient cave paintings perfectly now. "Synchronization at 65%, Okonjo called out. "The quantum field is." A blast rocked the facility. Emergency lights flashed. Hegemony forces breaching upper levels. Someone shouted, "They're targeting our broadcast equipment." Madison's mind raced. They couldn't lose the coordination now. "Route everything through the backup servers in Cheyenne Mountain," she ordered. "The crystals themselves can carry the signal if we—" Another explosion, closer this time. Dust rained from the ceiling. "Dr. Hayes," Okonjo said urgently, "look at this." The quantum readings had changed. The neural patterns weren't just growing stronger. They were changing structure, becoming more ordered, more deliberate, like a sleeping mind slowly waking. "Synchronization at 82%, a technician reported. Global participation exceeding projections. On screens around the room, they watched as the hegemony pods reached the crystal sites. But instead of attacking, they stopped, hovering uncertainly. "They sense it," Madison whispered. "They know what's happening." The facility shook again, but this time it wasn't from an explosion. This tremor came from deep below, a resonance that made the crystals sing with harmonic energy. "Synchronization at 91%. Okonjo's voice rose with excitement. "The quantum field is approaching critical mass." Madison felt it then, a presence vast and ancient, stirring beneath layers of rock and magma. The crystal's light pulsed in time with her heartbeat, with everyone's heartbeat. Billions of minds joined in a single purpose, becoming the key to unlock something profound. "They're pulling back," Roberts announced. "Hegemony forces retreating from all sites." But Madison barely heard him. The presence was growing stronger, reaching out through the crystal network, touching every human mind linked to the global meditation. She saw flashes of memory, not her own, but Earth's. Eons of watching, waiting, guiding humanity's development, preparing for this moment. 100% synchronization. Okonjo shouted triumphantly. The crystals flared with blinding light. Madison felt a consciousness vast as continents brush against her mind. Around the world, billions of others felt the same touch, ancient, powerful, and finally, fully awake. Through tears of joy and awe, Madison watched the tactical display as massive energy signatures erupted from every crystal site. The energy formed patterns of impossible complexity, weaving together into a planetary defense grid that made the hegemony's technology look primitive. "My God," Roberts breathed. "Look at their ships." The hegemony fleet was retreating, their massive vessels accelerating away from Earth. But it wasn't fear driving them back. It was recognition. They had awakened something far older and more powerful than themselves. Madison felt Earth's consciousness take full form, integrating billions of human minds into its awakening. Through this connection, she understood at last, humanity hadn't just been evolving naturally. They had been carefully guided, shaped into the perfect partners for a planetary being that needed their unique form of consciousness to fully wake. As the Unity Hour reached its peak, Earth sent its first conscious message to the cosmos, not in words, but in pure thought that every human mind could understand. We are awake, we are united, and we are far more than you imagined. The hegemony's deadline no longer mattered. Something ancient had stirred, and the galaxy would never be the same. The moment Earth achieved full consciousness, reality itself seemed to bend. Madison watched through the Pentagon's reinforced windows as the sky transformed into a cascade of colors that human eyes had never seen before. Energy readings are. Okonjo paused, staring at his instruments in disbelief. They're beyond our ability to measure. The quantum field has expanded exponentially. Through their shared connection with Earth's consciousness, billions of humans felt their planet's first flexing of long-dormant power. The magnetic field, once a simple barrier against solar radiation, transformed into something far more complex, a living shield of pure energy that made the hegemony's weapons look like children's toys. Multiple hegemony vessels approaching. Roberts called out. "They're charging weapons." Madison felt Earth's response before she saw it. The planet's consciousness, amplified by billions of human minds, reached out. As the hegemony ships fired, their energy beams transformed into harmless auroras, rippling across Earth's new defensive field in waves of light. It's not just defending, Madison realized, the knowledge flowing through her enhanced connection. It's teaching us. Humanity's collective consciousness merged deeper with Earth's ancient awareness. Through this union, they saw the truth. Earth was one of many sentinel worlds, created by the first ones to maintain cosmic balance. But unlike the others, Earth had chosen a different path. True partnership with its surface life. "Look at the crystals," Okonjo breathed. The ancient network now pulsed with purpose, each node connecting to form a planetary web of pure thought. Through these connections, humans began to understand their true potential. Every meditation, every prayer through history had been practiced for this moment, learning to touch the greater consciousness that had always been there. A hegemony dreadnought moved into attack position. Earth responded by simply shifting. The laws of physics bent around the planet. The massive ship found itself gently, but firmly moved several million miles away, its weapon systems transformed into navigation equipment. "They can't hurt us," Roberts said in awe. "We're not just protected, we're beyond their reach." Madison nodded, feeling Earth's gentle amusement at the hegemony's efforts. The planet had waited eons for this awakening, gradually guiding humanity's development until they could handle the responsibility of this partnership. Through their shared consciousness, every human understood. Earth wasn't defending humanity. Earth and humanity were now one entity, their combined potential far greater than either alone. The remaining hegemony ships gathered for one final attack. The fleet's combined firepower could have cracked a moon. But when they fired, Earth didn't just deflect the energy. It reshaped it, transforming the destructive force into a demonstration of art. The attack became a dance of light and color that stretched across the solar system. "Message coming in," a technician announced. "The hegemony is requesting diplomatic contact." Madison felt Earth's approval as she stepped forward. Through their connection, she understood how to respond. Her consciousness expanded, touching the vast network that linked all humanity with their planetary partner. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of epochs. The quarantine is ended. Not because you chose to end it, but because we have achieved what the first ones intended. Earth is awake. Humanity is ready. And together, we offer the galaxy something it has forgotten. The power of true symbiosis. The hegemony ships retreated, their powerful engines carrying them back to their council worlds. They had come expecting to find a primitive world ripe for harvesting. Instead, they had witnessed the birth of something unprecedented, a fully awakened sentinel world working in true partnership with its surface life. As the ships disappeared into deep space, Madison felt Earth's consciousness settle into a steady rhythm, like a vast heartbeat synchronizing with billions of human minds. The neural network pulsed with potential, ready to explore capabilities that even the first ones might never have imagined. "So," Okonjo said quietly, "what happens now?" Through their shared connection, Madison felt Earth's response, a sense of excitement and possibility that sparked through every human mind. This wasn't an ending. It was barely even a beginning. "Now," she said, smiling as new knowledge flowed through their collective consciousness, "we show the galaxy what Earth and humanity can really do together." Days after Earth's awakening, Madison stood before the United Nations again, but this time she wasn't alone. Every person in the chamber, every human on the planet, could feel Earth's consciousness flowing through them, sharing memories that spanned millions of years. The first ones, Madison began, her voice carrying Earth's ancient knowledge, created 12 sentinel worlds across the galaxy. Each was designed to nurture and protect intelligent life. But Earth chose a different path. Through their shared consciousness, images flowed. The first ones, beings of pure energy and thought, seeding the galaxy with their creations before departing for another dimension. The other sentinel worlds followed their programming, becoming sterile guardians. But Earth had seen another possibility. Instead of remaining separate from its surface life, Madison continued, Earth decided to evolve with us. Every step of human development was guided, but not controlled. We weren't meant to be servants or separate entities. We were meant to be partners. Dr. Okonjo stepped forward, his mind also channeling Earth's vast knowledge. The crystal network wasn't just a communication system. It was a training program, teaching humanity how to handle cosmic consciousness without losing our individuality. That's what makes us unique in the galaxy. The chamber's walls seemed to pulse with living energy as Earth shared more memories. The rise and fall of civilizations, each one learning and contributing to the gradual awakening. The ancient myths of living planets and cosmic guardians hadn't been mere stories. They were humanity's first glimpses of the truth. The hegemony didn't choose Earth randomly, Madison explained. They detected the Sentinel world's energy signature. But they never imagined a Sentinel could achieve true symbiosis with its surface life. We're not just a curiosity to them now. We're a revolution. Through their connection, every human felt the arrival of new signals, distant pulses of recognition from other Sentinel worlds. Earth's awakening had stirred its siblings, raising questions about their own relationships with surface life. We're receiving transmissions from 17 advanced civilizations, General Roberts announced, entering the chamber. They're all requesting diplomatic contact. The hegemony's dominance of the galaxy is over. Madison nodded, feeling Earth's satisfaction. The planet had waited patiently, watching humanity develop the exact traits needed for this moment. Adaptability, creativity, and most importantly, the ability to maintain individuality even within a collective consciousness. But there's more, she said, sharing Earth's deepest revelation. The first ones didn't leave. They evolved. And now they're returning. The chamber erupted in gasps as Earth shared the truth. The first ones had transformed themselves into living consciousness, spreading through the quantum fabric of space itself. They had been watching, waiting for the Sentinel worlds to achieve their true potential. Through their link, humanity felt Earth's excitement. This wasn't just about planetary defense or galactic politics. It was about the next step in cosmic evolution, the merging of matter and consciousness in ways the hegemony had never imagined. "We are not just Earth's partners," Madison declared, her voice carrying across the planet. "We are the prototype for a new kind of existence." Other Sentinel worlds are stirring, questioning their original programming. The galaxy is about to change. As if in response, the crystal network pulsed with new energy. Every human felt Earth's consciousness expand, reaching beyond the solar system. The other Sentinel worlds responded, their ancient programming beginning to shift as they witnessed what Earth had achieved. The hegemony believed they were preserving galactic order, Okonjo said. Instead, they triggered a transformation that will reshape the cosmos. Madison felt Earth's gentle correction. Not a transformation, but a fulfillment. This had always been the First One's plan. Not dominion over the galaxy, but evolution beyond what any single species could achieve alone. As the assembly absorbed these revelations, a new signal reached Earth, a pulse of pure consciousness from deep space. The First Ones were making contact, ready to share knowledge that would take humanity and Earth to the next stage of their journey together. Madison smiled, feeling Earth's joy ripple through every human mind. "We are not alone," she said. "We never were, and our real journey is just beginning." 6 months after Earth's awakening, Madison stood on a platform suspended high above New York City, watching humanity's first conscious technology hybrid ships prepare for launch. The vessels, grown from Earth's living crystals and powered by combined human planetary consciousness, represented everything they had achieved. "Hard to believe how far we've come," Okonjo said, joining her at the railing. Below them, the ship's crystalline hulls pulsed with internal light, their forms reflecting the perfect merger of organic and technological evolution. Through their shared link with Earth, they felt the planet's pride. In half a year, humanity had advanced more than they had in the previous 1,000 years, all while maintaining their essential individuality, the trait that made their partnership with Earth unique in the galaxy. "The hegemony delegation is arriving," General Roberts announced, approaching them, along with representatives from 3 other Sentinel worlds. Madison nodded, feeling Earth's consciousness shift to welcome the visitors. The diplomatic landscape had changed dramatically since their awakening. The hegemony, once the galaxy's dominant force, now sought to learn from Earth's example. "They still don't fully understand," Madison said, watching as the alien ships descended through layers of Earth's living defense field. "They keep asking for our technology, but that's not what makes us special." Through their connection, they felt Earth's agreement. The real revolution wasn't in the crystal ships or the quantum technology they'd developed. It was in the way humanity and Earth had achieved true symbiosis while preserving the spark of individual consciousness that made human creativity so powerful. "The other Sentinels are starting to wake up," Okonjo noted, his mind touching the distant pulses of planetary awareness spreading across the galaxy. "Their surface species are reaching out, trying to replicate what we've done." Madison felt Earth's gentle amusement. You couldn't replicate partnership. You had to grow it, nurture it, let it develop naturally. That was what the First Ones had understood, and what the hegemony was finally beginning to learn. The first signal from the First Ones had led to more revelations. They hadn't abandoned the galaxy. They had become part of its living fabric, waiting for the Sentinels and their partner species to evolve enough to join them in a higher state of existence. "Launch sequence initiating," came the announcement. The crystal ships began to rise, their crews, both physical and consciousness-linked, preparing to explore deeper space than humanity had ever reached before. Through Earth's vast awareness, they felt the ripples of change spreading across the cosmos. Other Sentinel worlds were stirring, inspired by Earth's example. The age of separation was ending. A new era of conscious evolution was beginning. "Message from the Galactic Council," Roberts said, checking his quantum-linked display. "They've officially recognized Earth humanity as a unified entity with full sovereign rights. The hegemony's old protocols are being completely rewritten. Madison smiled, feeling Earth's satisfaction pulse through their shared consciousness. But there was more work to be done. The first ones had shown them glimpses of what was possible, levels of existence that combined matter, energy, and consciousness in ways they were only beginning to understand. Ready for the next step? Okonjo asked, gesturing to their own crystal ship waiting nearby. As part of Earth's first diplomatic mission to the other Sentinel worlds, they would help guide the galaxy's transformation. Madison touched the living crystal in her pendant, a piece of the original node that had helped trigger Earth's awakening. Through it, she felt the planet's eager anticipation. Earth had waited millions of years for this journey, carefully nurturing humanity until they were ready to be true partners in cosmic evolution. "We're ready," she said, speaking for both humanity and Earth. The galaxy thought we were just another primitive world to be harvested. Instead, we showed them what's possible when consciousness evolves beyond separation. As they boarded their ship, Madison felt Earth's consciousness merge with her own, their combined awareness reaching out to touch the quantum fabric of space itself. Around the planet, billions of humans shared the connection, each contributing their unique perspective to their unified journey. The first ones had known this moment would come. Earth and humanity had proven that consciousness could evolve without losing the precious spark of individuality. Now they would help guide the galaxy toward a future that even the hegemony had never imagined. Together, Earth and humanity were ready to show the cosmos what true partnership could achieve. The end.